What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Dribble. I'm your host, Benny, and we are thrilled to be here for episode 3. Thanks for joining us again, or if this is your first time, welcome to the Talkin Dribble pod.
Today's show is absolutely stacked. On the NFL side, we're breaking down the NFL Conference Championship games, handing out our NFL regular season awards, and ranking the top 10 duos in the league.
Then we're flipping over to the NBA, where we're diving into our top 10 teams currently, firing off some spicy hot takes, and wrapping up things with a Chicago Bulls and Minnesota Timberwolves team draft to see who can build the better squad.
Before we kick things off, make sure you've subscribed and following us everywhere. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, check out the full version on YouTube, and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook for extra clips and content. Your support means everything.
All right, so let's not waste any more time. Time to get into it. This is Talkin Dribble, episode 3. How big was the conference championships? It was crazy.
It was insane. Obviously, the Eagles Commanders game ended up being a bit of a blowout, but that pretty much only happened in the fourth quarter. Really, that was intense. That was intense.
Yeah, it was an insane game. The game after that, Bills Chiefs, bro. We couldn't have asked for much more, and I was wrong in my prediction. I picked the Bills to finally get over the hump. I was wrong. I should never have doubted.
Can't be doubting him,
Patty Mahomes.
Can't be doubting him. Just special.
Yeah.
It was probably the perfect game. Exactly how everyone would have wanted it to turn out. Not in terms of who's winning in that, but just coming down to the wire. Another 3-point game.
Yeah, I
got
don't
the
think
best out of both Mahomes.
I think 99% of America and the world are pretty flat with the Chiefs getting back in. But we were chatting. We were like, we're on the other side. I think we're part of the 1%. We don't mind the Chiefs. And I think I hate Philly, so I wouldn't mind seeing Chiefs getting a three-peat. And then after that, let Allen, let Burrow, let Lamar get their rings.
100%. I was really torn between it, but then when it came down to it, I'm like, get Lamar, get the three-peat, and then we're happy with that because it was so sad seeing Josh Allen sitting there just shattered, and I'm like, what else can he do? He played a near perfect game. He had a rusty start, and that was it. You can't do much more. It just happens every year, though.
He's had 4 performances in these last few years against the Chiefs in the playoffs where he probably would have beaten most other quarterbacks, but it's Pat Mahomes, man, and it's like
the cookie crumbles, man.
I'm just shattered I didn't put a bet on before the season that the Chiefs would win the Super Bowl.
I put it on at the start of the playoffs.
Did you?
So hopefully we're $90 richer. Oh, it was only like $4.20.
Okay.
But
it's easy money. It's basically free money at this point. So
I can't see him not winning it.
I hope not. I can't be going for Philly. So
no chance.
Anyway, all right. Well, it's time for Snap and Dash, your quickfire NFL news. So 60-second NFL news. Let's get into it. So first up, the Chiefs and the Eagles headed to the Super Bowl. Both teams came out on top in their conference championship games. And this matchup is shaping up to be, an absolute classic, a Super Bowl rematch. On the rivalry front, as we were saying, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, the saga continues. While Mahomes is heading back to the Super Bowl, Allen will need to reload for next season to keep the battle alive. The competition between these two quarterbacks just keeps getting better. And I can't wait to see how that kind of storyline just continues over these as the quarterbacks continue into their prime. In coaching news, massive week, big moves. For a lot of teams, the Cowboys have named Brian Schottenheimer as their new head coach, taking the reins in Dallas. I'm pretty fired about that. In New York, the Jets have officially appointed Aaron Glenn as their new head coach, bringing fresh leadership and his defense expertise to the team. Meanwhile, Robert Saleh is headed back to the Bay Area as the 49ers defensive coordinator, returning to the team where he made a name for himself. And down in Jacksonville, bit of drama. The Jaguars have announced Liam Cohen as their new head coach, despite swirling controversy about how he was appointed. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of looks in the Jags locker room. And Pete Carroll to the Raiders. No one really expected it, but then a few days before that was announced, there was a lot of rumors about it. So the oldest coach in the NFL history to be appointed. So that's it for this week's Snap and Dash. Quick hits, big stories, and everything you guys need to know that's happened in the last week. So any thoughts there, man?
A lot to unpack there, especially with the Liam Cohen situation. That was crazy.
Bizarre.
And I don't know, it just seems like a very interesting way to start off
Yeah,
your tenure at a new franchise.
I saw a timeline for it. It was crazy. It was, I don't know how. I need to get it up.
But it was madness. I don't know. For Jacksonville, I think as a kind of a low standard sort of franchise right now, that's a weird way to start. Like if you're talking about getting new leadership, a new kind of sense of leadership around that team.
Yep.
It's a weird way to start like that with Liam Cohen, just with that whole thing. Like, so obviously there was a big thing with their general manager, and apparently that was turning a lot of people off signing with Jacksonville. And Liam Cohen, he was like, I'm out. I'm going back to Tampa. Signed a contract to become the highest paying offensive coordinator ever.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, general manager gets fired. He's going behind the backs of Tampa and finding his way back in Jacksonville. And then a couple of hours later, he signed with Jacksonville. So it was a really weird situation. Seems like a weird way to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was it? He interviewed with the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
Said he's done. Yeah, said he's done. He doesn't want to bar of it. Jags fired their GM.
Yep.
He verbally agrees to remain with the Bucs as the offensive coordinator. And then the Jags fire the GM. He comes back, he ghosts Tampa Bay the next day. And apparently the Tampa Bay coach is calling him being like, where are you, buddy? Like, what are you doing? And he said that his kid was sick. And then that night he agrees to a much thicker contract with the Jags to be their head coach. So it's definitely a weird one. Like you haven't, apparently, Adam Schefter, he said he's never seen a team so disgruntled about one of their coordinators leaving for another team.
Oh, and I feel like they've got every right to. If he's turned down a head coaching job and then they've gone and offered him the highest paying offer ever for a coordinator, and then he does something like that, does seem like a bit of a betrayal. Like I know there's a lot of times coordinators leave and stuff, and you have to be fine with that because they have to look after themselves. But that was a really weird situation. Really weird. And I heard something apparently in the agreement. It was like saying you can't interview with the Jags coach again.
Yeah,
coaching just staff again.
That's what a lot of teams do. So if teams, they know their coordinator's interviewing for other jobs, they'll be like, hey, we're going to up your salary as long as you don't go interview for these guys again. And apparently that was kind of a part of the verbal agreement. And Liam Cohen's like, buddy, I got to do what's best for me.
I definitely don't like it. It's turned a lot of people off for sure. And yeah, I don't know. For a team like Jacksonville that does struggle a lot, like with kind of maintaining some stability, seems like a weird way to start for them.
It is, but then it's also like he's obviously a special guy. Like he knows what he's doing. He didn't, like change Baker's career because there was Dave Canales last year who's now the Panthers coach, but he obviously is really good on the offensive end, and Jags apparently just were not going to let him walk out the building without him signing to be their head coach.
That's good signs. That's good signs for that. It's just, definitely a bit of a turn-off. Could just be, just a little AFC rivalry in me. Like, I don't want to see the Jags being good.
Oh, it's a question of his character.
Yeah, 100%. It's just very odd. Even that just line about what his kid being sick. Like,
I know.
That's interesting, but, hey, good on the Jags, though. They got the guy they wanted, so that's always huge.
They got the guy they wanted, but the Cowboys, did we get the guy we wanted? Brian Schottenheimer?
We had that guy because he's been a coordinator his whole life.
So he was our offensive coordinator over these last few seasons, but he didn't even call the plays. He's never been up for a head coaching job. He's been a coordinator, essentially, from both the college level and NFL for like 14 years. Never been rumored to be a head coach, never interviewed. No one else was interviewing him. But Jerry Jones is like, hey, guys, this is the guy we want him. We want him.
Because everyone's after him, obviously.
Everyone's after him. He's a highly sought-after coach. But it's because we were on the back foot. We didn't know what we were doing.
Jerry cooked you from the start.
He cooked us from the start. And he said that the interview was not the interview, his like little announcement as coach and like him fronting the press was today. And Jerry said, like Jerry was next to Brian Schottenheimer, and he said, this is the biggest risk I can take. I'm out of my comfort zone. It's like, bro, why is everything about you? Like it's like he has to, it's him against the world, and he doesn't even care who he's appointing as long as it's about Jerry.
Yeah. It's, definitely not a good look for the Cowboys, but hey,
right.
I
guarantee he's not going to be our coach after this season, or after next season.
Well, that's the thing. You'd expect that, but then because Jerry seems to be so loyal to blokes that he's kind of gone and handpicked, he could stick around for 5 years and you guys not make the playoffs once.
Yeah,
he's so
but
big
it's just
on keeping people in that team and not letting them go.
I know, but I think this year, Now, with Shador leaving in Colorado, I just don't think Dion would have left that first year out. I reckon he's very dedicated to staying with Colorado. But I think after a season without his sons, I reckon there's a fair chance he'll be looking for a job and he'll be looking for a Dallas Cowboys job. So I think this is kind of a transition year. We just had to have someone there. We didn't want to commit to someone big. I'm hoping this is what Jerry's thinking. But I would love, we're going to have a mediocre year. Look, our talent isn't there, but if we can bring in a Deion Sanders after next season, man, that just puts us, we're America's team. No one likes us, but we're America's team and we're losing credibility. We're losing relevance. So, I'd love to see Deion Prime get a coaching gig for the Dallas Cowboys. Get us back on the map.
Yeah. And that's what I think you need. You kind of need that. Because Jerry just loves the attention, and he wants to get people in the stands. He wants to get people in seats, and this season was the first time in a while it's kind of dropped off.
Yeah,
that comes with you got to win games as well. You weren't winning games, but if you got prime time and you're winning games, all my days you'll be massive. I don't think it actually gets bigger than that for an NFL team. If you've got prime time in there and you are winning games. That's huge.
Sign me up. I'm keen. I think there's a fair chance that'll happen in down the track. But anyway, man, that's big going on with the coaching. The coaching carousel. Pete Carroll to the Raiders is huge.
Yeah,
another stacked coaching division. Pete Carroll with the Raiders, Sean Payton with the Broncos, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, and of course one of the best coaches of all time, Andy Reid with the Chiefs. The average age is about 80.
When the league's getting younger, they're like, hold up. No, screw that. Screw that. We know what we're doing here. Bro, I don't know. Obviously, I love Pete Carroll as a coach. He's done some amazing stuff for the Seahawks, but I did find it weird. I just feel like for a team, for a franchise that needs some long-term stability, it does seem like hiring Pete Carroll is a bit of a step back and kind of a temporary grab, which I hope I'm completely wrong about because I love Pete Carroll. Would love to see the Raiders kind of build something. But I would have liked to see him go younger and try and get their man for the future. Kind of have someone who they can hold on to for years.
I see what you mean, but I like Pete Carroll, everyone who describes him, he's like a 40-year-old in a 7-year-old body. And yes, obviously he's not going to be the coach for the future, but he could be the guy who is before, he's going to build an elite coaching staff, offensive, defensive, and hopefully he can kind of be that person to nurture whoever the successor is. He's not going to be around for 10 years. He's not going to be the coach of the future, as you said. But he can be that stepping stone for Raiders to just get out of this, mediocrity. They're one of the worst franchises right now, and they're in the hardest division. So it's so easy to say, yes, why didn't you really go after Ben Johnson, which I think they did. But why didn't you really go after a young talent? Look, there isn't much out there at the moment apart from Ben Johnson. They didn't get their guy. They've gone with an experienced head coach who could be that guy to lead them from the front and just get them over the hump these next few years, and then who knows what happens after that.
I like that. And it just starts with them getting a quarterback. They need one. Yeah, and then hopefully they can turn the tide a little bit. It's going to be tough, but have trust in Pete Carroll. I like it. Back him in. Keen to see him coaching again. Keen to see him running around on the sidelines.
I love him. Crazy. I love his energy.
See him mic'd up each week. I love it. Yeah. So keen for that.
Sweet, man. All right, well, let's get into it.
Let's dive in.
Let's break down the conference championship matchups. There was plenty of standout performances. And what does it mean for these teams heading into the Super Bowl?
Start off with the 7 a.m. slate of Eagles Commanders.
Eagles crushed the Commanders 55-23. We didn't expect that. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. What more can you say? 6 rushing tutties between them, 3 each. And Jalen Hurts had a passing touchdown. Mm-hmm. He definitely proved a lot of haters wrong in this game, Jalen Hurts. Man, he was slinging it, he was moving it with his feet and he in the air as well. 246 passing yards and a touchdown. And then, as I said, 3 rushing TDs, including that push in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And he was playing in a knee brace. There was injury questions.
And he was. Apparently he took it off halfway through the game.
Well, he looked sharper than ever. Yeah. He looked
moved better.
Yeah, but he Nick Sirianni gave him his props after the game, said he didn't want anyone else leading this team.
Great
but it really was a tale of two stories. Washington, their first drive, 18 plays, settled with the 3 points. I was hoping they'd go for it, but they settled with the 3 points, get some points on the board. It's understandable.
Yep.
And then Philly, one play, 60-yard run. That gets in the lead.
He's insane.
They didn't look back. They did not look back.
He's an insane player. Like, watching that live, I was like, what are we doing here?
No.
Like, yeah, Commanders, that drive, like, to start a game, you probably can't ask for a better one. Like, obviously, it only ended in 3. But to kill the clock that early on, keep their offense on the sidelines for that long, and Jaden Daniels converts twice on 4th down.
Yep.
That is... You can't ask for a better drive than that. It just sucked that they finished in 3.
I know. I was hoping they'd go for it because they went for it a few times on 4th down before that. Then they were like 4th and 2, I think, 4th and 3. I was hoping they'd go for it because if you got that touchdown there, it's like, you could be in their heads, make Philly think a little bit.
Yep.
You set it with the 3. And then
10 seconds later.
Philly
That's insane. They take a 3-point lead, and then 10 seconds later, they're down 7-3.
I know. Like, it was insane. Saquon Barkley, it's almost like this performance and his like continued performance throughout all these games, the season, into the playoffs, it's almost like, how do you not fire the GM of New York Giants? How do you not fire him? Like, you saw it in the Hard Knocks in the offseason. Bro, how did you let this guy leave because you didn't want to pay him $8 million a year? He's just transformed Philly's team. He's been the difference maker. Like, if they win the Super Bowl, he'll be the difference. They lost to the Chiefs with a very similar team 2 seasons ago by 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon, you'd think, is a 3-point difference.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chiefs are a different team. But, bro, if...
That's the thing there. That Philly Eagles team, like in the Super Bowl, was stacked.
Yeah.
But their defense is even better now, and they have the best running back in the league. Like, that is so scary. That is super scary.
Insane. Philly got 586 offensive yards.
That's super impressive.
Insane.
Something else that kind of kills that Giants GM as well was in the Hard Knocks. He's in a meeting. Well, not in a meeting. He's in his office with his kids talking about who they want him to draft. And his like 10-year-old son is saying, you need to trade up for Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
And he just blows him off. It's like, bro. So you're talking about a guy, and they said there was possibility of they could have traded up, tried to get the Commanders' 2nd pick. So you're talking about they let Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles, and then there's a chance they could possibly trade up for Jaden Daniels. And they're like, no, we're good here. We're good here. Not saying Malik Neighbors. Like, Malik Neighbors could be one of the best receivers in the league soon. But
basically, two
generational.
They were basically the 2 best players in that game. Like, that's almost just like a microcosm of the Giants' GM efforts. You got the quarterback, could have been your franchise quarterback. You got your running back. Imagine you had those 2 blokes.
That's just game changing.
Game changing.
Well, look what Jaden Daniels has done with the Commanders team. They had the 2nd pick for a reason.
Yep.
They were a bad team.
Oh, you saw it. You saw it. Their defense finally looked like maybe a 19th, 20th best defense in the league. Like, they had injuries. They had injuries on the O-line as well, but on the defensive line. And you saw it. Philly just ran rings around them. Like, they moved the ball through the air, on the ground. Like, Washington finally looked like that 6 seed.
Yeah.
That they finally just ran out of steam.
Once you got the quarterback as well, people want to come play. Like, reports came out halfway through the year. People want to go to Washington. They got Marshawn Lattimore. Like, people want to play for you if your team has a good quarterback.
Yeah.
That could have literally completely flipped the Giants around, and they're just, who knows where they're at. But
hey, it's the Giants. We're giving Giants way too much.
That's enough Giants talk.
Giants talk.
Screw them.
Jaden Daniels, he showed he didn't have a bad game. I felt bad for him. He was actually moving the ball. They kept turning it over. We said it last week. Washington, like, it's a turnover game. All the teams that turned it over last week lost. They had 4 turnovers. All these fumbles, and Jaden Daniels had an interception at the end. It was in garbage time. I didn't think much of it. But he threw for 255 passing yards and a tutty, 64 rushing yards. So he was still being that Jaden Daniels, not at the level as it was against Detroit. But yeah, he just didn't have much help on the offensive or the defensive side. Like, Terry McLaurin was quiet apart from that 36-yard touchdown pass. Zach Ertz was basically like the primary receiver. He was great. He was really good. He was everywhere. But the fumble by Austin Eckler, all just like these turnovers that, as we said, it's if you turn the ball over, you're going to lose, and you can't give Philadelphia short fields. Jalen Hurts had so many short fields. And when you have weapons like Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, bro, you don't even know he's on the field.
You actually completely forget about him.
He's a Heisman winner.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like, they're so stacked. Like, they are by far the best roster in football. And yeah, yesterday they really showed that. Like, I think they got contribution from every single player. Like, they just got the best out of everyone, which may not look like it on the stat sheet because there is only so many plays you can run. There's only so many times someone can get the ball. But everyone just came up big for them, and it's a big reason why they're pretty much cruising to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think we were chatting about it before we started recording. I think this Philadelphia team will be the best team that Patrick Mahomes has faced in the playoffs, let alone a Super Bowl. This is such a talented team. Offensively, defensively, they're scary. And it'll be massive if Mahomes...
he can overcome that. Oh, well, something that concerns me a lot is, like, James Cook ran all over the Chiefs' defense yesterday.
Yep.
So their run defense actually isn't that strong. And you're talking about going up against possibly the best O-line in football and the best running back in football now. They've got a lot of questions to ask now. Like, it's gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be very tough. So they've got a lot to deal with. So that kind of segues us in to the 10:30 slate.
Massive.
At Chiefs.
Bills at Chiefs.
Holy, what a game. What a game. So, it was an intense start from the beginning. Like, Bills started with the ball and Josh Allen, I don't know what was going through his head in that first drive. 2 near picks. Literally, one of them just completely overthrows Matt Collins and just a simple drop from the Chiefs defender. And then the next one just pretty much chucks it into triple coverage. And
he got very lucky on that first drive.
Super lucky. They could have been in prime field goal position.
He looked nervous.
And just go down.
Nervous,
looked very tight.
After that, he was
fine. It was fine from them, but then, it was super impressive. Chiefs probably had, so their first drive of the game was probably the perfect drive they could ask for. Possibly the best drive they've had all year because their offense has looked, I think it's fair to say, pretty average.
Yeah, they've struggled moving
well
the ball.
below average.
Especially because they had a good punt, the Bills. So it was like a 90-yard drive.
Oh, it was insane. Like, they just went down. It was a perfect mix of passing and running because they were running a lot of run play options. So a lot of it was Kareem Hunt would take it inside and then Mahomes was just slinging it. He had this beautiful throw right over the middle, right over a linebacker that gained about 25 yards. I was like, we haven't seen this. We haven't seen this like all year. It was the first time I really thought him and his receivers seemed on the same page. They were kind of just...
And he was finding everyone. He was finding everyone.
If he's doing that early, that's really concerning, especially if Bills are starting with the ball and don't score, and then Chiefs go down, put it up 7-zip. It was kind of danger areas instantly for the Bills, which kind of showed how impressive it was to Bills to kind of regain that momentum. Go back down. Allen just was insane.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, Bills, like we talked about, with turnovers and stuff, they didn't actually have many. Did they have a turnover? I don't know if the Bills had a turnover, but they had 5 fumbles that they recovered themselves and then 2 dropped picks. Like, those are chances there. Those are big chances. So I know everyone's quick to jump on the refs and stuff, jump on about this and stuff. Obviously there was a lot of iffy calls. Like the catch by Xavier Worthy was, I definitely thought it hit the ground. And like Bills obviously had first possession. Xavier Worthy came over. I thought it hit the ground. I would have called it an incompletion. But there was already a flag there. They were getting a first down anyways. And then, also that 4th and 1 call was definitely interesting. There was a lot of different sides to it. But I don't know. I think there was so much that happened during the game that you can't draw it to this. Like, there were so many chances Chiefs had to take it off them. Like, those 5 fumbles and 2 dropped interceptions. Like, that's game-changing stuff that people kind of seem to back pocket, and they're just like, no, it was this, it was that, it was this. So
yeah, they definitely cop a lot in terms of the refs. Like, I don't know how you can just determine the result of the game based on a few calls. Yeah, that 4th and 1 call that went Chiefs' way, it was huge. It seemed, there was those 3 massive calls in the game. They all happened to go the Chiefs' way. But as you said, Bills could have turned it over 6 times and they didn't. But we got to give Mahomes his props. He proved once again why he's one of the best quarterbacks ever.
Yep.
He's now 2nd all-time in playoff wins for quarterbacks. Well, for players, he's got 17 playoff wins already and he's not even 30. Yeah, he's insane. He's only lost 3 games in the playoffs. He's 2nd behind Tom Brady, who's got 35. So he's not even halfway there. But Mahomes, he had 245 passing yards, a passing touchdown, and 2 massive rushing touchdowns. Bro, he was looking like Josh Allen in the red zone rushing.
Yep.
He just elevates. He elevates. He is like your MJ in the finals. He's like Tiger Woods playing golf.
Yep.
He's crazy. He's insane. as we've said, Chiefs haven't looked Chiefs this whole year, even though they've won. And Mahomes, there's a reason why he wasn't in the MVP conversation. But he just elevates. And it's not like Allen was bad. It was way worse. He just doesn't elevate like Mahomes does, especially against the other great quarterbacks. There's a reason why Lamar can't beat Mahomes. There's a reason why Josh Allen can't beat Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yep.
It's because Mahomes and Andy Reid, Spags, the defensive coordinator, it's all about the details and they're situational. And it was 32-29. You could not have predicted it. You could have predicted it. It could not have gone to script anymore. 3-point win by the Chiefs against the Bills. Bro, it's what happens.
It's insane. That's the thing. Everyone's quick to jump on it. Mahomes had a 99 percentile game in terms of success rate. It was truly insane. Only 4 quarterbacks have done that all season. So it's not like Mahomes played near perfect football. He was insane.
Oh, he hardly had an incompletion.
Yeah.
Hardly did. It's not like he threw it 30, 40 times, but yeah, he hardly stuffed up.
And that's the thing. Something that goes kind of unnoticed a lot with him is his ability. He's threat. He's running threat for sure. Obviously a lot of people say it with Allen and Lamar. So Mahomes kind of is backseated a bit there with that, but he can pull it out when he needs. He's not the quickest. He finds ways just to get first downs.
He does.
He just comes up big. It was a huge game for him.
Yeah.
Really, it really topped it off. But some honorable mentions Xavier Worthy, huge game, 6 catches for 101 and a touchdown. He really showed out, especially with Travis Kelce having pretty average game.
Yeah,
2 catches.
Yeah,
2 catches for 19. He had one, he caught a screen pass and just, he didn't catch it. He completely dropped it. And I was just like, what's that? We saw Kelce pop off last week. I was expecting he's just going to cruise through the playoffs now. But it just shows kind of that Chiefs mentality. Someone just steps up. Kareem Hunt had a big game. Nothing special, but 17 carries for 70 yards and a rushing touchdown. That's big. That's big, especially with Isaiah Pacheco's he's still recovering from his injury. So obviously Kareem Hunt's taken that RB1 spot. So he's really stepped up because Pacheco's a beast.
Yeah.
But he's definitely not 100%. So it's good to have him just kind of switch snaps here and there, just kind of help out, take some workload off Hunt.
Yep.
But they have blokes that just step up and make plays when they need to.
And their defense, the Chiefs' defense is so underrated. They have been stepping up for them all year. But on that, look, Bills had a chance to take the lead. They had that final drive and that 4th down, the Chiefs got Bills to 4th down and they blitzed Allen. They knew he was going to roll around to his right and they had a cornerback not even blocked. And this is a Bills offensive line that has, Josh Allen's hardly been pressured all year. And on the final play, on the play that decides your season, they knew Allen was going to roll around to his right. All the players were pressuring him. Look, Allen's still he hit Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, on his chest.
I couldn't believe that,
bro. I didn't realize how actually close it was and how he should have caught it.
Yeah.
He should have caught it. It was insane. But it's the details. Spags, the Chiefs. Yep. They're the best team at it, and that's why they're moving on to another Super Bowl.
Even just they were on a 3rd and it was a somewhat 3rd and long to pretty much finish the game. So they run it. They would have had to kick a field goal, and then there was probably about 40-odd seconds for the Bills left if they did that.
Yep.
They decide to throw the ball to Samaje Perine, who hasn't touched the ball all game.
Yeah.
And he takes it for a first down, and that's game.
Yeah.
It's just the ball's on Andy Reid to do something like
what
that.
Other coach would do
He's
that?
been sitting on the sideline all game, hasn't touched the pill, and they draw up that just a little route, just take him off, get a first down game. It just shows that's just that championship mentality that they definitely have right now. As much as people don't want to admit that and say, this and that, they know how to win. You can't fluke getting 3 Super Bowls in a row and possibly winning 3 Super Bowls in a row.
And there's a reason why Josh Allen, he's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And there's a reason why he hasn't made a Super Bowl. Yeah. It's because he's in the same conference as the Chiefs, but it's because of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. They step up when they need to, even if all their players aren't. Travis Kelce hardly targeted. But there's a reason why Josh Allen, he will eventually get over the hump. He will. Yeah. The Patriots lost in their dynasty. So it'll happen eventually. There's so much football to come in Josh Allen's career. But you feel bad for him. After the game, he's so flat. He's just You can see the heartbreak. You can see the heartbreak.
I just want to see him get there. I just want to see him get there. But it just wasn't meant to be again.
It wasn't. They were close, but not close enough. A lot of people had him as the Super Bowl favorites and finally beating Chiefs, but
wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be, man. Wasn't meant to be. And here we are for a rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So
I'm happy with this. It's possibly, barring the Lions, who obviously were demolished by injuries all year, it's possibly the best two teams all year in terms of just finding ways to win. They just do that. Obviously, Jalen Hurts hasn't played well all playoffs and then shows up big there. It's just two teams that definitely have that championship identity. They just know how to get over the hump. So I'm happy to see that in terms of, it's two really well-constructed teams.
Yeah, and to be honest, really going into the playoffs, you didn't really think any team in the NFC would come out except for Lions and the Eagles. You thought it'd be either of those teams. Eagles, Chiefs, two of the best teams all year. They've lost, 5 games combined for the year. Yeah. And one of those was the Chiefs resting half their team. So, I'm keen, but we'll do a Super Bowl. We're going to do a full Super Bowl preview next week. Yeah. Because there's the week break.
Pro Bowl next week.
Yeah.
Don't think anyone really wants to hear about the Pro Bowl. So we'll dive into the Super Bowl a lot more then, for sure.
So we've got a massive Super Bowl preview next week where we'll break down the matchups. Provide our thoughts and opinions on that. But
stellar week. But we'll shift gears here and we'll move on.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, here we go. Here are our picks for the NFL regular season awards. We'll start off with Comeback Player of the Year.
Comeback Player of the Year. So
do you want to hit us with our first?
Yeah. So the award finalists were announced. So because with the award finalists, there's 5. The top five for each category. Top 5, we had Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins, Christian Gonzalez, and DeMar Hamlin. Again, he gets in there.
Gets in. He had a good year, though, in terms of he actually played snaps this year. So
good to see. Yeah, no, he's actually a pretty good safety for the Bills. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to say your comeback player of the year first?
So this one's big. In the end, he actually didn't have as good of a statistical year as I thought he may have. But this guy, it's actually truly incredible what he's done, and that's the running back for the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins. So he missed the entire 2021 season after a devastating knee injury. And then in 2022, he was limited to just 8 games due to another knee issue. And then unfortunately, last season in 2023, he tore his Achilles in week 1. This was all at the Baltimore Ravens. Just devastating.
I didn't realize he had so many injuries.
It's been insane. So for him to come back this year, play a huge role at the Chargers, hats off to Harbaugh bringing him in and having that trust in him. To come in, and it wasn't like he just came in and played snaps. He was one of the most important players for the Chargers this year. Stats showed when he didn't play, their run game was abysmal. They just couldn't run it at all. Gus Edwards and Hassan Haskins just could not move the sticks at all. So he played a huge part. In his first 2 weeks, which was truly incredible, coming off that ACL injury, his first 2 weeks runs for over 130 rushing yards in both games and a touchdown in each. So that's truly special. He still missed about 4 games this week from week 13 to week 17. Yep. But then came back strong, continued his impressive play, and really, played a huge part in taking these Chargers to the playoffs. Obviously, it wasn't the fairy tale ending they would have liked, getting bounced in the first round. He didn't have a great playoff game, but I thought, truly special what we saw out of him this year. It wasn't just one massive D injury he copped and then he's come back a year later. He's been struggling with this since 2021. Yeah. We're in year 2025 and he's finally looks like he's starting to hit his stride. And I hope the Chargers stick with him because he looked elite this year. At his best, barring injuries, looked like possibly, a top 10 running back, which coming off last year, week 1 ACL injury, you wouldn't expect that to be. So yeah, he's definitely my pick for comeback player of the year.
He definitely is the epitome of the player that comes back from injury and has a rookie year. So now that's a respectable call. But I've got Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year. This man was written off. He was pick 3 for the New York Jets. He's made his first Pro Bowl appearance this year with the Minnesota Vikings. He led that team to 14-3. He beat out quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford for these top 3 positions in the Pro Bowl for the NFC. threw for 35 passing touchdowns, over 4,000 passing yards, which were both fifth in the league. Like this man, he was with the Jets, he was with the Panthers, two of the worst franchises in the league.
Yeah.
And he was only signed to the Minnesota Vikings on a small deal, $10 million, but as the backup QB because they drafted JJ McCarthy, and obviously JJ McCarthy went down for injury, and Sam Darnold just stepped up to the plate. No one could have predicted this man would be so good. Obviously, they crashed and burned in the playoffs. He didn't play his best, but he was so consistent. So consistent. He was, sixth in passing yards per attempt, and had a higher average depth of target, like, throwing the actual ball than Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, and Aaron Rodgers. So it wasn't just a fluke. He sustained the success over the year, and no one could have picked that. Like he spent last year as a backup in San Fran behind Purdy. Obviously must have learned a whole lot with Kyle Shanahan, and man, I think he's the epitome of that player who's written off. He's the classic quarterback. Everyone thinks he's a bust, and man, he showed out. And I don't know if he's going to win it. It's pretty hard to pass up on a bloke like J.K. Dobbins who's had all these injuries, but man, if he does get the award, I think it's well deserved. So
100%.
Sam Darnold, my pick for comeback player of the year.
I love that. Oh, I'd be happy to see it get up, really. Yeah. See, I love that award. I think it's a special award. It definitely highlights probably the best parts of the NFL.
Yeah.
Just you want to give these blokes that support. So I really love that.
Yep.
We'll move on.
Yeah.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I heard we may have had a similar one and then just branched off in our last little.
Yeah, so
you were change of mood for you, was it?
Yeah, that's it. So wait, you can tell us your pick.
Yeah, so I went with I think he's the clear-cut favorite. He was special and he showed it in the playoffs. Is edge rusher for the Rams, Jared Verse. Truly special talent out of Florida, Florida State. Had a special year last year. Comes in, he was insane. He was ranked 4th out of all edges with total rushes of 77. Second in hurries with 56, 6 sacks on the year, 2 forced fumbles, and an overall grade of 86.2, which was ranked 9th amongst all edge rushers as a rookie. This is according to PFF. Like, what a special year for a rookie.
Yeah.
Completely transformed this young Rams defense, which is really exciting. Like, obviously with a coach team like Sean McVay's, you expect their offense to be kind of the front runner for that. Their defense was truly special and kind of played a big part in them making a playoff push this year. And I think it all leads back to this young bloke. Like, he was truly insane. Off the edge, their front four was dangerous. Like, and he just played a huge part in that. So he's definitely my pick. Hard to top.
Look, it's hard to pass up against that. He did have a massive start to the season, and obviously he showed out in the playoffs. But hey, he dropped off a little bit as the season went on. And my man Chop Robinson, pass rusher for the Miami Dolphins, had a quiet start to his season, but he just fully picked up, and he was one of the best pass rushers in the league, not just as a rookie, in the league. So since he actually became a regular starter, he had a 15.5% pressure rate, which was second amongst defensive linemen in the league, trailing only Myles Garrett. And he also ranked 4th in the league for quick pressure rates, which measures how often like a rusher actually gets to the quarterbacks. And that was better than Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons.
That's
so
impressive. Yeah.
This guy, he fully kicked off when he actually became a regular starter. So he finished the season with 6 sacks, which is, that's pretty modest stat, but his overall impact, it showcased that he's going to be one of the best defensive linemen for the future. So his effectiveness grew as the season went on. Jared Verse, it's kind of like the fast start versus the fast finish.
Yep.
But, he's a quiet star. He's not eye-catching, but I definitely think he deserves his props, and he's definitely established himself as the key piece of that defense. They don't really have this massive defensive identity, the Miami Dolphins, but with a player like him, I think,
that's a great pick.
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize he had that good of a year. That's
to be honest, I was all in on Jared Verse, and then I was doing a little research. I was like, bro, this
crunching the numbers.
This Chop Robinson guy, he's a dog.
That's impressive.
That's my pick for defensive rookie of the year, man.
I love that. We'll get this one out of the way. It's pretty much stock standard. Offensive rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Nothing against anyone else. Like Malik Nabers had an insane year. Brock Bowers had an insane year.
Yeah, Brock Bowers was like the best tight end rookie ever.
Had an insane year.
All these players would have won it on any given year apart from this year.
You just can't replicate what he's done.
Yeah.
It's truly incredible. Like, I think we've talked about him probably nearly every ep now, but he deserves that. He's been super special. And yeah, I don't think anyone was really pushing to take those reins off him. So
he was a prodigy. He was a prodigy this year. He's not only like his stats, but his leadership. He had massive wins in the clutch. He was hardly touched all year really for like the favorite of the offensive rookie of the year. Bo Nix was up there a little bit, but
he was sniffing there.
Yeah, but his performance under Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, he just did not skip a beat, and he was kind of the favorite all year.
Yeah.
So it was through his scrambling ability, his passing. He had an elite performance just about every week. He was actually 4th in total QB rating, which is insane. That's for all quarterbacks. Like I was only behind Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So that's insane. 3 of the MVP picks.
Yeah. And 5 of his 13 wins this year came off game-winning drives.
Yeah.
That's
unheard of.
Special.
Yeah.
So really special. So
pretty easy pick.
Now we'll move into DPOY. This is actually a tough one. There's been a lot of good players, and I think it's really between 2 here. But my pick for this is TJ Watt. I feel like he gets snubbed every year, and he just had a monster year again. I actually think towards the end was actually probably one of his worst finishes. But I don't know, like 6 forced fumbles, ranked first among all edge rushers, 12 sacks as well. 3rd best overall grade, 1st in run defensive grade, 6th in pass rush grade, which is impressive because no one really knows him for his run defense, which is truly incredible. 2nd in QB hits as well with 17, and then 53 total pressures. This all according to PFF.
Damn.
He had a truly insane year, and I don't know, I feel like every year goes by when he doesn't win it, everyone just jumps in. It's like, how wasn't it TJ Watt? How wasn't it TJ Watt? I think he deserves one, man. He's been super special, and their defense had a really good start to the year, and that was just completely leading off what he's bringing up in that front 4. So, yeah, he'd have to be my pick for this year.
Look, he's definitely a force. I see that. But my man, Pat Surtain, he is the defensive player of the year. In a league where it's so hard to be a cornerback, this man, he just shows that he's the best cornerback in the league, without a doubt. He's becoming increasingly difficult for any wide receiver to get a hold of. He just checks every box defensively. Like he was thrown at only 10.9% of his snaps, the 2nd lowest rate in the league among corners with at least 250 snaps. Man-to-man, he was covered in man-to-man nearly 41% of the time, ranking 12th among cornerbacks. And he generated 19.3 EPA in coverage, the 4th best mark for any cornerback, and intercepted 4 passes, including a pick 6. He did all this while maintaining a perfect tackle rate going the entire season without one missed tackle. Did not have a missed tackle.
I did see that. That's it. That's crazy.
Like that just showcases his all-around ability. Like it's so hard. Every rule these days are based around offensive players, like holding, pass interference. There's just so much the defender can do wrong. And for this guy to be as good as he is, teams literally just don't throw the ball on his side of the field because they know whoever he's guarding at, they ain't catching it.
No chance.
So he did have a few penalties throughout the year. He had 12 penalties, but that's like everyone is getting penalties. It's almost impossible to not get penalties as a defensive player. And for a game that is shifting so offensively driven, like it's so offensively driven these days, and there seems to be a new rule every year for like against the defensive players. It's rare for a cornerback to be so good with so much running against him. So I'm giving Pat Surtain his props. It's going to be hard to not give it to an edge rusher because they just have such impact on the game.
Yeah.
But this man Pat Surtain, he's had an historic year, and I think he deserves his props.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all I'm saying.
He's a beast. Was he getting double teamed every rush? Probably not, but no, he's a beast.
Okay, buddy. So are we moving on to offensive player of the year?
Oof.
Okay. So
this is a tough one.
Oh, this is a tough one. There were so many good players. How do you distinguish who's the MVP? How do you distinguish who's the offensive player of the year? Seems to be that the MVP is a quarterback and the offensive player of the year is the best non-quarterback.
He's a skill position player for sure.
This man we've spoken about, Saquon Barkley. An historic running back season. We thought it couldn't get much better than Christian McCaffrey last year. Saquon, he's had one of the greatest running back seasons in NFL history. He almost broke Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record. He probably would have against his old team, the Giants, in the last game of the regular season, but he was rested. But Barkley reached the 2,000-yard mark by week 17 on 345 carries. That was outpacing any all-time great, including Derrick Henry's 2020 season when he ran for millions of yards. And he has truly been the difference in the Eagles getting to the Super Bowl, essentially. He's explosive players. He had 6 runs of 50-plus yards, the most since his own 2018 season, and the second most since 2000. And he gained 389 yards on those explosive runs. So that's bloody hell easy. He was just running rings around his defenders, and he wouldn't be in the game, and then all of a sudden he's just ran for 200+ yards. So obviously his offensive line played a massive part in his success. Like he wouldn't have been doing this at the New York Giants, obviously, but Barkley's individual ability to actually just get into the open field and find those gaps. Man, how can you not give it to him? So
I get that. And that's the thing. I don't think out of these two players, you can't go wrong with whoever you pick. But I think because they didn't make the playoffs, Ja'Marr Chase's year is still going so under the radar. Triple crown winner this year. So first in receiving yards with 1,708, first in receiving touchdowns with 17, and then first in receptions with 127. Had 5 games over 100 receiving yards, including 3 over for 150. And one of those was for 264 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns against the Ravens.
Damn.
Like, he had an all-time historic year. And I think it goes under the radar so much because how bad their defense was, played a big part in them not making the playoffs. But the connection between him and Burrow this year was truly insane. And I don't think we haven't seen really a receiving year like that since Cooper Kupp's year in their Super Bowl run. Like, obviously, Tyreek had a pretty incredible year this year, but it was just like all-round dominance from Ja'Marr Chase this season. And that's the thing. If it goes to Saquon, it goes to Saquon. He's been truly special. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them here, but Ja'Marr Chase, man. And it's also just the eye test. What he can do, what he just brings to this Bengals offense is insane. Like, last year, I wouldn't have had him I probably would have had him third amongst receivers. Like, I would have gone Tyreek, Jefferson, then him. This year, he's kind of made himself the clear-cut number 1. He was in massive contract talks at the start of the year. And I was even thinking, I'm like, I don't know if he deserves what Justin Jefferson's getting. Like, Justin Jefferson is truly special. And then Bengals made a huge mistake there because they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to pay him quarterback money.
Yeah,
he has been that good. So he's just had an incredible year. And hats off to him for kind of betting on himself as well. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to play even though you haven't paid me. And now, damn, Bengals would have written that check instantly if they knew what was going to happen this year. So,
hey, that's a good call. Both were worthy winners. Probably either of them would win it in any other year. Both historic seasons, but hey, only one can win it.
Only one can win it.
Only one can win it.
We'll move on to the Coach of the Year. Another real tight one.
Yeah.
It's a real battle. There's been some good teams this year.
Been some great teams, but you can't move past my man, Dan Campbell. The strongest candidate for Coach of the Year that I've seen. He's exceeded expectations with a 15-win season. Obviously, people expected him to be good, but he's led this Detroit Lions to an historic season. It came down, it finished quicker than we thought in the playoffs, but it was such a remarkable achievement considering how many injuries they had. We said in their last game in the playoffs, they had 16 players on injury reserve, and they had the equal best record in the league. The Lions faced the 5th toughest schedule in the league, competing against their obvious division rivals, the Packers and the Vikings. But they competed in the toughest division where 3 teams, had at least 10 wins. Detroit swept both Green Bay and the Vikings, and those 2 teams had a combined 25-5 record against every other team, and they swept them. But it was just the overcoming the injuries, battling against adversity, and Dan Campbell's, his game day impact. He impacts the culture and the decision making within a game. Like his decisions to go on 4th downs. Obviously, Washington's adopted that, but he just leads from the front. And I swear every year, the Coach of the Year isn't given to the best team in the regular season. It's always to someone else. A cool story. This year, it should go to the best team in the regular season, which was Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, he just deserves it. He really does deserve it. He's shown that he's one of the best coaches in the league, even though he's not this brilliant mastermind offensive coordinator. He's not this defensively driven guy. He's this team guy, culture, brings the energy, and he really does epitomize what Detroit Lions stand for. And I think he is the perfect candidate for Coach of the Year for this season.
I don't mind it. And look, he deserves it. Full on deserves it. I just think there's been a coach super special this year, especially with like the lack of talent around the team as well. To get to where they are, 14-3 record, Kevin O'Connell of the Minnesota Vikings. And I know he did lose both games to the Lions, but you just have to match rosters there. What he is working with is insane. He got robbed a couple of years ago. Like, obviously, hats off to Brian Dable. He had an insane year as well, so he got it over Kevin O'Connell. But I just think he has done more than enough this year to deserve it. Took quarterback Sam Darnold, like we mentioned before, who bounced around from the Jets, Panthers, and 49ers, and now he's thriving with the Vikings. And, put him in MVP conversations, likely increasing his earning potential as well for next season. Like, he's going to get money somewhere, if that's at the Vikings or somewhere else. I don't think there's many coaches in the league that could have done that with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Like, what he's done is insane. And obviously this was Brian Flores-led defense as well, but their defense was insane. So just kind of him bringing in guys like that is also a sign of a great coach. It's not just in-game stuff. Like, he just did all the right things on and off the field. And you just have to look at their roster. They weren't working with a whole lot. You're talking about Sam Darnold, who's, labeled as a bust. And then on their offensive end, the O-line, offensive coaches know how to fix O-lines. And he did a perfect job at that. Obviously, it kind of crumbled towards the end of the year. But what are you meant to do when they're actually not good? So you can only work with so much there. They had elite receivers, obviously, between Addison, Jefferson, and Hockenson. But Hockenson barely played all year. And the defense wasn't great in terms of actual personnel. But they just made it work, leading this Vikings team to a 14-3 record when everyone pretty much picked them to be the fourth best team in the NFC North at the start of the year. I don't think there's much more you can do as a head coach. Obviously, disappointing way to finish, but you can't go wrong with either of them. Both of them had an insane year, but my pick's Kevin O'Connell.
Worthy winner if he does pinch it. Look, it's hard to pass up on either of them. Whoever doesn't get it will be stiff, but they were both in the finalists. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Oh yeah.
But okay, MVP time.
Here's the big one.
MVP. Oof. So I'll go first.
Oof.
My pick, Josh Allen. Now it's bittersweet talking about him right now. He's probably in bed crying himself to sleep right now. But this man's season was truly historic. So many people predicted the Bills to drop off. A lot of people didn't even have them making the playoffs. They had Jets coming up, the Dolphins better. This man lost his two best receivers in Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis in the offseason. And regression, what are we talking about? They had never looked better. Like, people were writing them off, and Josh Allen was truly the driving force of this team. They didn't rely on him to be Superman. Like, he didn't have to throw, he got like 50-plus touchdowns last season, but they weren't as good of a team. He really picked his moments with his legs, with his passing. But he was truly the leader and the most valuable player to his team. He's not like Lamar Jackson, who added one of the best running backs in the offseason. He's not surrounded by all these weapons. He's surrounded by this really nice young receiving core. He's got a great O-line, and he really was great at using the strengths of his team against the best teams in the league, especially in the regular season. He was the only player, or the only team, to beat the number one seed in the AFC, the Chiefs, and the number one seed in the NFC, the Lions. Every other team, 1-28 against that.
Damn.
So he was truly amazing. Like, he stepped up in the big games. Obviously, he didn't play well against the Ravens in the regular season, but he was he made big plays. And look, Lamar does lead in some of these other categories, the stats, like the leads and touchdowns. But as good as Lamar was rushing, he only had 5 rushing touchdowns for the year, Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen had 12. And it was announced he was playing through a broken hand all year. It was his own throwing hand, but he's got a broken hand. So despite the injury, he performed at a level that was, I think, the highest in the league, and I think that's going to earn him MVP honors. At least I hope so. Look, Lamar Jackson was voted in as the first team All-Pro, which indicates that he's probably going to get the MVP. But Josh Allen has done everything expected from an MVP candidate, leading his team to one of the best records in the league, overcoming injuries, adjusting to the changes of the roster against tough competition. And yeah, he surpassed my expectations, and he deserves to be crowned the MVP.
Oh, that's a great case. And this hurts me to say because of how much I love Josh Allen. And everyone knows I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. I don't know why, but this guy has to win MVP this year. And I know that gives him 3. Last year I felt like he shouldn't have. But this year, if he won it last year, I don't know how he doesn't win it this year. First in QBR, 77.3, only 4 picks all year, tied for second in passing touchdowns with 41, 4,172 pass yards on the year, 915 rush yards on the year. He had a true historic season. For someone who's been hated on kind of his whole career for not being a pocket passer, he's transformed himself into the best pocket passer in the league. If he has time to throw, I don't think I saw one all year where he overthrows someone or misses someone. His accuracy's improved that much. It's truly insane.
Yeah.
Look, that's the thing. I love Josh Allen. I would love to see Josh Allen get an MVP, but I don't know how that can happen with the way he's played this year. And I think maybe him winning it last year has kind of actually hurt his case for this year because he won it with not great stats. Yeah. And it's kind of similar. Josh Allen's actually having a similar year to Lamar had last year, and Lamar's having a similar year to what Allen had last year. So they've kind of flipped, and it could go the other way again. But he's been insane, and it's all eye test as well. You watch him play. There's no one like him. There's no one who can play like him. There's no one who can move like him. And I would have thought a couple of seasons ago, yeah, his running game's elite, but he's not going to stand there and just pick apart your defense. And he did that all year. And that's why his rushing touchdowns were down. He didn't have to move. He didn't have to get out of the pocket as much as he did. He's a truly special player. And as much, it actually hurts me to say it, but he's the MVP this year.
Yeah, but who won in the playoffs? Who won in the playoffs? Allen beat Lamar.
Josh, bro. Give me Josh,
beat
but
Lamar. Look at
this is regular season.
Look at Lamar's supporting his core. He's got way better receivers. He's got one of the best running backs in the league. Josh Allen, man. How can you pass up?
I respect it. This is a regular season award.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I
respect it.
Can we agree on that? Bit antsy in the studio here. Okay.
It's all right. I get it.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty, man. Well, okay, that's the awards done.
Yeah.
That's the awards done. We're going to shoot through this last little segment in our NFL part of the pod.
Yep.
These are the top 10 NFL offensive duos in the league.
Yep.
So we'll go from 10 to 1.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to go? You go 1, then I'll say the other.
Here we go.
We'll start from 10.
Coming in at 10, we have Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Elite.
They're you could have gone any of the Detroit, those duos, Goff, St. Brown, Goff, Montgomery, Gibbs.
It's kind of what limited them to 10.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you actually don't know what the duo is.
Yep.
But those two, elite.
Yeah,
They're stacked offense.
That's a good call. Okay, number 9, Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson. We might never see this duo again, but they were, two of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the league. Their connection was crazy. And that's why they were number 9.
Yeah, 100%. Coming in at 8, Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Just consistency. That's what I think about when I think of this duo. Just pure consistency. They make it work. It's great to see him get to his 1,000 yards again. Yep. Baker just has a really special connection with him. So, great to see. So that's why I got them at 8.
Number 7, Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua. They've turned into what Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp were a few years ago when they won the Super Bowl. Puka Nacua, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. Matthew Stafford is getting on, but man, he can sling it, and he finds his primary target in Puka Nacua constantly.
Oh, yeah. Coming in at 6, Josh Allen, James Cook. Obviously, not like the dynamic duo you kind of think about out of all of these, but I think they even just showed in the playoffs how special they are, and just both of their running threats really cause issues for defenses. So they're, I think, a real under-the-radar kind of duo that we've got here. Truly special.
Number 5, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. Who would have thought coming into this year these guys would be one of the best duos in the league? Terry McLaurin's finally found his quarterback that can find him. So he's a stud wide receiver, probably a top 10 receiver in the league, and Jaden Daniels is now proven to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So these guys are going to be one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the league for the next few years to come.
Oh yeah, 100%. Coming in at 4, this was a tough one to rank, but Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, insane. But I think this year's kind of showed it's a bit more one-sided with how much Saquon's providing. I think the top 3 above him is just better quarterback and complementary play than we've got here. But truly insane duo. They've gone to the Super Bowl. Keen to see how it plans out, but yeah, truly they're an elite duo.
Number 3, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You could easily have these above our next 2, just in terms of like how their direct play impacts each other. They just didn't have enough success this year, but I think they'll probably be the best duo next year. Like Joe Burrow could win MVP, Jamar Chase could win another Offensive Player of the Year if he wins it this year. Like they are arguably like the best in their position in the league. So yeah, number 3, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yep. Coming in at 2, new duo again this year. Insane. Lamar and Derrick Henry, similar with Hurts and Saquon. Just the running threat that they both provide makes them super special. Don't think we've seen this kind of dominance from an offensive end in a while. Like, they're insane. And I thought kind of Derrick Henry was at the back end of his career. He's shown this year that he's just getting better and better with age. So they have to be number 2 there. All my days. Didn't expect that out of them this year.
No, they definitely exceeded expectations. And Derrick Henry is so durable as a running back. It's unprecedented. And number 1, we might cop a bit of flack for this, but number 1, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Obviously, they weren't as good statistically this year compared to some of these other duos. But hey, until they're beaten, they're going to be number 1.
That's 3 straight Super Bowls for them.
Yeah, and they're the 2 best players on the team. Yeah. Travis Kelce didn't have his best game on the weekend, but man, he just turns up when he needs to. Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league, arguably one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game. They're the reason, they're a major reason why the Chiefs are currently in this dynasty, and we have them as the best NFL duo in the league right now.
100%. That concludes our NFL part of the week.
That's it.
Huge
Plenty
week.
going on.
We
could have chatted for another 3 hours 100%. About all that.
But, lot to dive into.
But all right, that's a wrap for our NFL talk. Now let's shift gears and dive into the NBA action. 100%. So it's obviously not as much happening. It's the middle of the season right now, but plenty going on in the NBA.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's a lot coming to hand now. We've got All-Star Weekend coming up and stuff soon, so keen for that. So, yeah, a lot happening, but I think there's it kind of stagnates middle of the year. But it's been a pretty good year for basketball. There's kind of a few surprises and stuff this year, like we've kind of touched on. So, there's a lot to jump into.
Do you want to get into Dribble and Dash?
Dive straight into Dribble and Dash. So, some heartbreaking news coming out of Charlotte. Brandon Miller will miss the rest of the season due to surgery to repair a torn ligament in his wrist. Jimmy Butler trade rumors continue. Obviously, massive news. He just got suspended for 3rd time this season because apparently the Miami Heat informed him that he won't be starting. So he just walked out of practice. So now this is a 3rd suspension on the year. Who knows what's going on there, but it's pretty crazy. And I don't know if there's a timeline on his return for that, which kind of falls into what Shams reported earlier in the week. So if the Suns are keen to trade for Jimmy Butler, it looks like it's definitely going to require a complex 3 to 5 team trade. So really keen to see how that works. That could lead into Bradley Beal possibly moving to the Bucks or something like we touched on before. Then the All-Star lineups came out this week, All-Star starters. So the East was Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Kat. And then on the West side was SGA, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic. So a lot there. Felt like there was a few snubs in there. The East definitely thought Cade Cunningham did enough this year to earn himself a starting spot. And also on the West, there was a lot of controversy between Steph Curry making it, only averaging about 22 a game and not even in the play-in. So I would have put Anthony Edwards over him. And then also KD making it. Obviously, I didn't have him in my West All-Stars at all. I thought he missed too many games. I definitely felt like he he's been injured too much this year. But obviously they thought different. I would have had Wemby over him for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
100%. And then slam dunk participants have been named as well. The four. Bucks guard, Andre Jackson. Spurs guard, Stephon Castle. Bulls forward, Matas Buzelis. And then Orlando G League player to come try and three-peat for the first time ever. Mac McClung is looking to three-peat.
Bro, who even are these blokes? Who are these guys?
That caps us off. The dunk contest is just a joke.
There's a reason why no one watches it, no one cares about the All-Star weekend, because they give these blokes who aren't even in the rotation on their teams. They give G League players. Obviously, Mac McClung, he can dunk. We've seen that, but who cares?
No one cares.
We don't know who he is.
Look, Stephon Castle, Matas Buzelis, two rookies. Castle's having a good year and stuff, but just it doesn't bring excitement. You want to see the best players in the league, and obviously they don't want to do it. So I don't know. I think it is time to shift gears on the dunk contest. Bring something different in because no one's going to tune in. And it gets to a point with the dunk contest. There's only so much you can do. Like every dunk's been taken now. No wonder these blokes have to repeat stuff because what else are you meant to do?
But there's always an issue with the judging because they give like a 10 really early to like a perfect score really early to a very mediocre dunk, and then it's like, oh, from now on everything's a perfect score. But who? 100%. Oh well, it's going to be another mediocre All-Star weekend. 100%. I think, but, I'm more interested in who makes it than actually the game itself.
Keen for the reserves to come out. Yeah. There will be a few snubs. But I was pretty flat with Cade not getting the starting spot in the East. I thought he did enough. But Donovan, number one seed in the East, definitely has every right to be in there. But I just thought Cade's having
Cade wasn't even close, really, like in the voting. LaMelo Ball was actually, because he came, I think it was around second in the player vote, and he was like top 3 in the fan vote, but he was 7th in media. Yeah. So that's what, he only just missed out against Jalen Brunson. So Donovan was the number 1 ranked guard. Jalen Brunson was 2, but missed out, like LaMelo Ball missed out by a little bit simply because the media just weren't a fan of him.
I would thought he was in a similar boat with KD. He's missed a lot of games as well.
Yeah, so it is hard to give LaMelo Ball a starting spot when his team's won, 9 games?
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah,
so
they've been awful. So that's tough, but that kind of caps off our dribble and dash. There's a lot happening in the NBA, even though it is only mid-season. I thought we'd do a little bit of a fun thing. Here we go. We're going to move in to our top 10 teams in the NBA right now, ranked from 10 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So there's a lot here. Obviously mid-season, but there's been some elite teams playing right now. And I'm not going to lie, this 10th spot was a tough one to kind of do because, I don't know, that top 9, I think, actually probably top 8 is cemented with really good teams. This 10 and 9 spot could kind of go to anyone really, especially with how close both the East and the West is from about 5 to 12. But coming in at 10, got the LA Clippers with a record of 26 and 19. And the thing is, I think like my biggest concern with them was their ability to kind of hold off in the first half of the year until Kawhi came back, or if Kawhi came back. And they've done even better than that. They've cemented themselves. I think they're sitting 6th in the West right now, which is really incredible with how stacked the West is, and to kind of move themselves into that. And now Kawhi's come back. James Harden playing insanely good basketball. Obviously, Norman Powell's having a breakout year. They're a really good team, and they're defensive-minded for sure as well. Tyronn Lue's a great coach. I think they've earned every bit of that 10th spot. I wanted to give it to Minnesota, but we're just not good enough right now. We're just playing not good enough basketball. And even though we've versed them, we've beaten them multiple times this year, Clippers, they've earned the right to, I think, be in this top 10.
I get that, but I don't even have Clippers in my top 10.
Yeah, right.
So I've actually got Dallas Mavericks sitting in my 10. Their record isn't as good as the Clippers. They're at 24 and 22, but Luka Doncic is out. Kyrie Irving's holding down the fort at the moment, but they're a better team than the Clippers. They are. On the offensive end, when they're back in full force, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. I think they'll eventually get their ass into gear, probably finish a top 4 seed. Look, they're not playing amazing basketball right now. They're nowhere near as good defensively as the Clippers are, but they're a better team than the Clippers, and I've got them. They're a top 10 team in the league, and I had to put them at 10.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I like that. Dallas was a close one, just missed out, I think. Yeah. A few struggles here and there. Coming in at 9, though, the 5th in the West, the LA Lakers. They've been a real up and down team, but I love what JJ Redick's doing with this team. I think they're improving, and I'm happy to see they're active in trade discussions right now. Bringing in Dorian Finney-Smith, great move. I love that. Now there's talks they're looking at Walker Kessler. Apparently they've chucked a whole lot of kind of little trades at Utah, and they haven't budged yet, but I'd love to see him acquire him. I like what they've got. When you got 2 possibly top 5 players in the league, like definitely top 10, you're going to be a good team no matter what in terms of you're going to win games, and they're good. They're good. I like that they got rid of D'Lo. He was kind of the odd piece out there, and bringing in Dorian was a great move. So I like them. They've got my 9 spot. There's still a whole lot of question marks around them, but keen to see how they go throughout the year.
Well, I've got at 9 the Milwaukee Bucks. So they definitely had a slow start to the year. But man, Giannis, he's probably top 2 player in the league, him and Jokic. They're sitting at 25 and 18. I think they're like 5th in the East right now. So considering how slow they started, they're sitting at a decent spot. They're just not quite with those top few teams in the East. But hey, I wouldn't want to be playing them in the playoffs. They're playing well. They're very big team. They need to make a move. We spoke about like potentially Bradley Beal going to them. So I think they still need to make a move to put them over the hump. I think the Chris Middleton kind of air raid in Bucks is probably over. So they probably need to move away from him. But defensively, offensively, they're actually pretty good on both sides of the ball. They're a top 15 team in either side. So yeah, I think they're a solid 9 spots. They're not one of the best teams in the league, but they're playing well this time of year.
Yeah.
So
No, I like that. I like that. Coming in at 8, this team could definitely be higher. It's just I still have question marks around health and stuff, and their star player has some issues. And that's the Memphis Grizzlies. Record of 31 and 15. They're having a really good year. And I actually thought they would have. Like at the start of the year, I said, I reckon they'll be a top 3 team in the West if they stay healthy. And right now they are. Jar obviously has still had issues, but they're a really good basketball team. They've kind of got all the pieces you want. Triple J's made a big leap offensively as well. Got 2 really good rookies in Zach Edey and Jalen Wells. Great additions. And then Desmond Bane, slow start to the year. He's really started to pick it up. So they're in to make a big run in this Western Conference, I think.
Bro, I didn't even realize how good Desmond Bane is right now in fantasy.
He's coming.
I thought I won that trade. Levine's averaging like 39 for me, but Desmond Bane, he's dominating.
He is popping off. I think it's a bit of a win-win. I think we can agree on that. It was a good trade. It was a great trade.
All righty, well, 8. I've got the Lakers. So as you said, you had them at 9? 25 and 18. They're so hard to pick. One week they're looking like the best team in the league. The next week they're like what's going on with the Lakers? But LeBron, man, he just turns up every week. He's the best player in my fantasy team right now. He's averaging just about 50 points. It's crazy what he's doing at his age. But yeah, him and AD are definitely carrying this squad. They've got some decent pieces, obviously brought in Finney Smith, but I've got them at 8, just below some of these teams that perform more consistently on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, I like that. Coming in at 7, this is a tough one because it's tough to judge this team, is the Houston Rockets. I reckon regular season powerhouse, they're playing insanely good basketball. When I just match them up against the teams above them, I just think they're a little inexperienced, just a little young, not as well kind of mellowed out yet to compete with those teams. So Houston at 7, their defense is insane. They're such a good defensive-minded team, and that kind of falls into their offense. It's just transition basketball like we touched on earlier. But they're a really good team. I just think come playoff time, they may struggle a bit. But this year, they could easily find themselves sitting 2nd or 3rd in the West for the rest of the season.
They're just so young.
OKC's pretty much clinched that one spot. No one's touching that. Between that 2 and 3 is really, I think, between Memphis and Houston right now. So they're having a great year. Hats off to them. Yeah, they've got my 7th spot.
Yeah, that's a good pick. 7, I've actually got the Denver Nuggets. So I think it kind of agrees with you. I think they'll be better than like the Houston Rockets when it comes to the near point end of the season. But right now, as a team, they're not as well built right now as the Houston Rockets and some of those other teams like the Grizzlies. Nikola Jokic, once again, he's an MVP candidate. He's the best player in the league. He's leading the team in points, rebounds, and assists. They've had some decent bench contributors like Westbrook. He's now kind of roving in between that 6th man and starting, and he's balling out. I don't think people predicted he would be as good as he was with the Nuggets. But yeah, they're 28 and 17. They're not playing their best basketball on a night-to-night basis, but Mike Malone's got them turning up most nights, and Nikola Jokic, they're just so reliant on him. So it's so hard to pick them as a team to be better than some of these other teams. Like, they're not a top 5 team in the league right now.
Yeah.
They're nowhere near as good as they were last season. But no, they're a respectable 7.
Yeah, I like that. At 6, I've actually got a team that you had a bit lower. I really like where they're heading now after such a slow start, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks.
That's horrible.
Record of 25-18. Obviously, record-wise, they're worse than Houston and Memphis. They are a good basketball team. Giannis is that good. Dame's starting to find his stride. I think Doc is starting to find his stride a bit more with this team. Record-wise doesn't back them up, but they are going to be there come playoff time. Don't be surprised if they make a push, barring Giannis stays healthy. I like the Milwaukee Bucks
That's
at 6.
Abysmal call
That
by
is
you.
not. That is not. Where'd you have them at 9?
I had them at 9.
That's 3 spots different.
Yeah, but like they're not better than Houston. They're not better than Houston.
One thing that really grabbed my eye from them was I know it's only the in-season tournament. Their in-season tournament championship game was pretty impressive. They dominated OKC. Like, obviously, OKC were really undersized that game. They dominated them. When Giannis wants to, they can be unstoppable. So, I've got them at 6. I'm standing by the Bucks. They are a good team.
Alrighty. Well, I guess we know whose list is more accurate this time. So, number 6 got the Grizzlies. So, they're 31-15, way better than the Bucks. Ja Morant, when he's playing, he looks like he's back to his explosive self, but then he just randomly has a night off. As you said, Desmond Bane's finally picked it up this season, being that second kind of option. Jaren Jackson, man, he could be a little all-star smoky. So these players who led them to the 2 seed a few years ago, they're back at their best, and defensively they're a great team. I think Taylor Jenkins,
yep.
Don't even know his name. I reckon Taylor Jenkins is one of the most underrated coaches in the league. He just constantly leads his team despite the injuries, despite the controversy, despite what Ja's doing off the court. No, they're a really scary team, especially come playoffs. They've got playoff experience under their belt. So I think they're going to probably finish the top 3 seed when the season comes to an end.
I like that. At the 5 spot, I've got the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
I think they're getting better and better, and I think they're starting to find a stride. Russell Westbrook's playing great basketball. Jamal's starting to get there a bit. I think he just needs to play himself into shape. That seems to be his issue come regular season. He plays himself into shape. And then Nikola Jokic is just so far the best player in the league that I feel like you just have to have him there. They're starting to play really good basketball. I like what they are. I think they'll be a Western Conference Finals team for sure. I think it's between them and OKC in the West. So, yeah, I like them at 5.
Yeah, it's good. It's not right, but it's decent. Cool. Number 5, I got the Rockets. The disrespect you showed this team. I'm not a huge fan of the Rockets, but they're 30-14. Şengün, he could be an all-star. They're just so deep. They got so many mouths to feed and they seem to be doing it. They got Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, so these combo guards that are pure scorers, and they're both eating. They're both getting their points. Şengün leading from the front, being a little baby Jokic. And then Amen Thompson, man, he's come from the clouds. He is balling out right now. He's like being like a little baby LeBron kind of player, but way more defensively focused. Like he's stuffing the stat sheet on the offensive side, and he's so physical on the defensive side. But they're so deep. Tari Eason, Cam Whitmore, they're really turning up. Oh, Jabari Smith, he's out, and it doesn't really seem to impact them. So they're sitting, second seed in the West. No one predicted that at the start of the year. And it's weird. When you watch them, they don't look like this very structured, they don't have too much of like this offensive system going compared to some other teams. But they're they're raw, they're manic, they're young. So they play a young style, and it's working.
They force you to play that way as well. Yeah. Which, I think they're a really good team, 100%. But coming in at 4 for me, got the New York Knicks. They're just finding their stride more and more. I love the pieces they've got. Obviously, when you look at the long-term aspect, maybe 5 first-round picks for McCall and stuff might not be the best thing long-term. But I just think they've gone all in, and I'm all for it. Cat was the best addition they could have done. Brunson, I love. McCall, I love. OG, just great pieces everywhere. I think, between them and Cavs are really the only two that rival Boston, I reckon, right now, in the East, obviously. Yep. So, I've got them at my 4th spot.
Yeah, I think we're definitely moving into teams that are like, these are real true contenders. So I got the Knicks as well, 4, sitting at 30-16. Brunson and Cat really have seemed to strike a balance between like who's the leader. Like they don't have a clear best player, but it showed they're both all-star starters. So, the moves they made in the offseason seem to be working at the moment. They do have some nights where they're looking a little shaky and the threes aren't dropping and the offense is looking quite stagnant because they're not too deep. They do rely on their stars to show up, but man, the Knicks, I would not want to be playing at MSG when playoff time comes around.
That'd be scary.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in at third, I didn't think I'd have them at third, but there's a few red flags lately with them, and that's the Boston Celtics. They're still, I still think they're the best basketball team in the league, but they have not been playing good ball lately, and there has been a few things come up that's a little concerning. I think they'll be fine, but I do think right now they're playing worse basketball than the top two. So
yeah, they're in a slump. They're in a slump for sure.
Which can happen, especially when you're shooting that many threes a game. Yeah. It can happen. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely not panic stations at all for them. They'll be there at the end. But I just thought they've mellowed out big time the last few weeks and not playing their best basketball at all, where the top two are playing insanely good basketball.
I reckon we're going to have the exact same top four.
So
I've got Boston Celtics at 3. They'll be fine. They've got the best starting 5 in the league, like especially when Tingus Pingus is playing. Drew Holiday, he's kind of mellowed out this year. But Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're one of the best duos in the league. Yeah. And Derek White, he's balling out. When Porzingis is playing, they're so lengthy. Horford's dropped off a bit, so I think it's just a little drop off each from like these older kind of players. But Pritchard stepped up, as we said. But they'll be fine. Like they're probably the best team in the league roster wise. It's just they're in a slump. It's an 82-game season. It happens.
It's gonna happen.
We both have them at 3.
Yeah. So that moves into the top 2.
Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah, let's go. So that 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, back.
Of course we got. We should have looked at these lists and really. 100%.
So we can pretty much cap off these top 2 here. So Cleveland at 2, OKC at 1. They've matched up literally the last couple of weeks, which has been good to see. Cleveland got the best of them in the first game, then OKC just blew them out in the second game.
Yep.
Both really well-structured teams, I reckon. Like, Cleveland look really good. Yeah. I after their fast start, I did not think they'd be able to keep this pace up.
No.
I'm watching them. They don't have a hole in their team, which it didn't look like last year, and the roster hasn't changed.
Yep.
They look so good. Kenny Atkinson's gotten playing elite basketball, and it's good to watch. Both these teams actually look like they can compete with Boston because they've got the depth and the length to contain this team. So I like it a lot. I like both those top 2.
Yeah, OKC. They're the best team in the league right now. Number 1 in the West. They're deep. Chet's not even playing. And
Hartenstein's been out.
So they're putting it together, and they're going to be scary. It's good that they kind of got knocked around in the playoffs last year by the Mavericks. They've got that playoff experience under their belts. They're going to be a team to reckon with.
Made them realize what they needed to go get as well. They knew they were undersized, so they go get Hartenstein and they get Caruso as well just to add to it. That's just fun pieces they've added. So, they're by far cruising to that 1 spot.
Yep.
Love to see him play. Yeah, I'd love to see him play for a championship, really. That'd be exciting to see, but there we have it.
All right, that's our top 10 teams currently in the NBA.
Yeah. Well, in the comments, let us know where you reckon where we should move around. Just let Benny know, really, that my list is better than his. But the Bucks are a good team.
Yeah, okay.
But let us know where you guys would rank these teams as well. We'd love to hear that.
For sure. All righty, well, now we move on to a little hot take segment. So we've got a bunch of hot takes here that we've both kind of been thinking about. It's been brewing. I reckon we'll say a couple each.
Just a couple.
And let's just air it out. See,
rattle some feathers a
few feathers, because I've got something to get off my chest.
Yeah,
so
we love that.
I reckon we've got a couple that relate currently to the league, and then a few just general kind of hot takes. So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can start us off.
All right, I'll start us
off.
Okay, I'll do one that relates to the league right now. Victor Wembanyama is already a top 5 player in the league right now. He is, without a doubt. It goes Jokic, Shea, Giannis, Luka, Wemby. So not one American in there.
Yeah.
Whatever order, but it's so disrespectful that Wemby wasn't in the All-Star starters. How Kevin Durant made it in over him. He had this potential, had so much pressure coming in. He's a generational talent, and he has just lived up to the hype. It is insane what he's doing. They've already almost matched the wins Spurs had in his rookie season to now. Bro, he is a baller on both ends. Defensively, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players of all time. It was disrespectful that he didn't even win it last year. It's insane how he's not an all-star starter. Like, he is a top 5 player. Who would you have over him? Like,
No, I completely agree. I think that's a perfectly great shout. I don't know how you can argue with that. He is a game changer.
He's easy.
You just have to look, like you said, look at what he does when he's on the court and then look how the Spurs are constructed off the court. It's he's a truly special player. He'll be in top 3 conversations next year probably.
Yeah, fair chance.
100%.
Fair chance. It's I think I just want to give Wemby his props.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. Europeans are taking over the league.
They really are.
Good to see.
You don't even
so
realize
good
it.
To see. Well, we'll move on. This is a big one because I think this guy gets the respect he deserves, but I actually think he's still underrated. And that is Nikola Jokic is a top 3 center of all time already. This guy, Kareem and Shaq are the only 2 I'd let you say you'd take over him. He has just shown 3-time MVP already and a 1-time champion. His stats speak for themselves. He's a guard in a big man's body. Like, he is the entire system of the Denver Nuggets since he's arrived. I don't think we've ever seen it. Obviously, he doesn't, when you're watching the games, he doesn't have that physical presence that Shaq had, that pure dominance. But he is. He's a dominant player. There is no stopping him. If you make him pass in a game, then he'll have like 15 to 20 assists and his team blows you out by 20 because like if they get the right pieces around him, he makes it work. And then if you're like, oh no, we can't let his teammates get going. Let's make him score. He'll just go drop 40 and still have about 10 assists. It grinds my gears a little bit. It grinds my gears when people disrespect him because I do strongly believe he is already a top 3 big man of all time.
He's better than Wilt.
Yep. 100%.
Damn.
100%.
Who else is there? Like Moses Malone.
Moses Malone kills him. Bill Russell kills him. I don't care.
Damn.
I do not care. Jokic is insane. And
better than Hakeem.
Yep. 100%. He will, I think by the end of his career, he will be the best center ever. And people don't want to give him to that because he doesn't look like the typical basketball player. He struts around. He looks like he's tired half the time. But he'll go drop 40 and 15 on you like it's nothing. He's an entire system. He's unstoppable. There is no, he doesn't have a weakness in his game. I think barring LeBron, he's the smartest player that has ever touched the court.
Damn.
He is so far ahead of everyone. He's insane. And yep. All right, top 3 of all time in centers. He could be a top 5 player by the end of his career.
Hey, Jay, you said it here first, Nikola Jokic. You
I'm
do
so
wonder though.
sold
You
on
do
him.
wonder if he was American, like if Anthony Davis was putting up these numbers,
They
he would be God.
They'd literally have him as GOAT conversations,
Yeah.
and for some reason no one even mentions him. And it's like, by the time he's done,
It's a valid call.
All right. Super impressed.
All right. Okay. So there's a lot of talk about, Phoenix. They've just dropped off. Who leads them? Kevin Durant. He's been doing that for a while with these teams, just leading these teams to nothing. Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors is the worst move by a superstar ever.
So this is leaving the Warriors, not leaving to the Warriors.
Leaving the Warriors. Yep. They won 2 chips these first 2 years. Would have won a third if he didn't get injured. He was like, you know what? I don't like this winning thing. I want to go to a team where I can, stink it up and lose in the first round. Yes, he was a baller for Brooklyn, but they hardly made a dent in the playoffs. Didn't work with that big 3 there. He's now at Phoenix. He's just destroyed that franchise. They made a finals a year before he came and then blew up the team because of him. If he stayed with the Warriors, they literally could have ran the league. Yes, it would have been like a kind of a Chiefs situation where it's like, well, they're just going to win every year. Isn't that the point? Isn't that what they're doing to win championships? Like, I get that there was some drama between KD and Draymond, but man, KD leaving the Warriors has got to be one of the worst professional decisions ever in any sport. They were a sure thing to be the best team in the West. They put that roster together to beat LeBron. They did it. They swept him. They won in 5. Like, there was no beating them.
Yeah.
And all it took was for Klay Thompson to tear his ACL. KD to rupture his Achilles, but they would have come back better, stronger. They're all still running the league.
Yeah.
I still to this day, when I just think about it, I'm like, how? Like, imagine he was just back at the Warriors right now. They would still be one of the best teams in the league.
Yep.
But hey, he decided to go play with his mates, his mate Kyrie, and
they blow it up a couple of years
later. The earth ain't flat, and they ain't winning.
Yep. I like it. I like it a lot. No, that's a great call. Had
to be made.
Yeah. Move on here. This has been on my nerves. Today's league has the best defenders we've ever seen. And it annoys me because there's so much hate around defense these days because how many points are being put up. If you watch the games and then you parallel them with nothing against 90s, nothing against the 80s, but you parallel them with that defense, it's insane what players are asked to do these days. For a game that is so favored to the offensive end, it's incredible what they have to do. You're seeing Steph Curry get face guarded from half court. I'm sorry, but this might sound like a casual take, but you watch it. MJ's getting the Ben Simmons treatment in the 90s. They're standing at the free throw line because nothing against them, but the three-point line wasn't that big of a deal back then. You have to be able to guard all three levels these days.
They definitely play wider. Like, they play wider.
Yeah, which means you've got no help behind you. So it's not like FIBA basketball where you've got your big man standing in the key because they can just stand there for as long as you want. There's there's defensive 3 seconds. You're getting screens from left, right, and center. You have to chase over every ball screen. Pretty much every guard in the league can shoot a 3. Big man can shoot a 3 now. You are constantly chasing around, having to literally be in an offensive player's face, and then you also have to go down and play offense as well. I'm talking like you watch it back then. They can take possessions off where they can just park up. You don't have to be facing the ball. You don't have to be picking them up from half court.
But players definitely still take possessions off these days.
100%.
Sure.
100%. But if you're talking about having to stop a player like Steph Curry, you know how exhausted you must be after that? You're chasing him around a 3-point line. Because it's so much wider, that means defenders have to play wider. They have to be chasing him left, right, and center. And you just think about how many off-ball actions there are and stuff now. Even just like how gifted these blokes are. You have to guard Luka and stuff one-on-one. They can get away with so much. You're talking about they can pump fake. You go up in the air, it's a foul instantly. Like, there's so much you have to do these days that weren't as pivotal back then. And I understand, like, because people were like, oh, but it's not as physical and stuff these days. Yeah, that's fair. You can't just go up and friggin' clothesline someone. You don't have Bill Laimbeer trying to kill a bloke every 3 possessions, all right? But that doesn't mean that's not good defense. It might have been more physical. But that's not good defense. You could hand check and stuff back then. You can't do that these days. So it was easier. If someone gets by, hand check, bring them right back. That's literally what MJ built his defensive career off. There's so much that you can't do as a defensive player these days. And I just think, like, you just have to watch it. You have to watch how athletic these guys have to be to contain the ball. I think we've never seen better defenders. I'm not saying defensive teams or anything.
Yeah, no, I know.
We've never seen better individual defenders. You have to guard the ball these days.
They're definitely probably like the talent-wise on that end because they're so athletic, so much bigger these days. Talent is probably more than it was back then, but I don't know.
All right, it showed. When Bucks traded away Drew Holiday and got Damian Lillard, it showed how important defense is because Dame can't defend, and it really showed once he went to a good team that he can't defend. Like, you need to be able to defend.
All right, well, hey, it's a tough call. Let us know if you agree or disagree. I'm tipping a few people.
Definitely going to
90s fans won't be too happy.
They're going to hate me, but it had to be said.
We'll do one more each.
Yep.
I've got one here. Boston Celtics fans are not going to like this. Jaylen Brown is not a top 20 player in the league. This man just won the the best athlete of the year or something given like for all athletes in America. He's not a top 20 player in the league. Yes, they just won the championship last year. He won finals MVP, but that was a that was probably the worst finals MVP kind of candidates you'll see.
Yep.
I've got 20 players here. I've got more who I would take.
Go out.
We got Nikola Jokic. We got Giannis, SGA, Luka, LeBron, Ant, KD, AD, Stephen Curry, Joel Embiid, Wemby, Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, LaMelo Ball, Ja Morant, Kyrie Irving, and his man, Jason Tatum. That's 22 players. Come for me, man. I would take all of those players over Jaylen Brown. All of them. This guy, he is a good player, and he's the second best player on one of the best teams. How he won, that was the biggest piss take of an award when I saw that he won. It was, something like the best athlete of the year.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Shocking.
Are you taking the piss?
Yeah.
He's not even nowhere near the top 10.
But he's not even the best player on his team. I'm sorry, he's not. People are trying to make that argument. He's not. Jason Tatum is the clear alpha dog on that team.
I just had to get that off my chest because I think he is so overrated.
Yep.
Yes, they finally got a chip. They finally got the monkey off their back last year. So everyone's kind of on the Jaylen Brown wagon. But no.
No, I like it.
Right.
I like it.
Okay, last one.
All right, last one. Cade Cunningham is currently the best guard in the East. I've said it, and so much disrespect to him not making the East starters. And I know, obviously it didn't even end up him being close. You watch it. He's possibly the most complete guard in the league, barring Shea, because he's a much better defender than Luka. And he has, not saying he's better than Luka, but I'm talking most complete. He is literally, like I said in our first step, he is a mix between Cade and Shea. He has their best qualities. I'm watching him, and obviously he goes under the radar because he plays for the Pistons, so he's not getting the attention that someone like Jalen Brunson will get, which I think he's a gun. But because he plays on the Knicks, obviously it's a higher standard there. I think you can go and plug him on any team in the East, and they are just as good or better.
Jalen Brunson's better than Cade Cunningham. Jalen Brunson's better.
I am full sold. You can sell me as much Cade stock as you want. I'm full sold on this bloke, and I think in a few years he's such an under the radar kind of first pick because he doesn't have the personality of like an Anthony Edwards or a LaMelo Ball, so he doesn't have that high praise that a lot of these guys have got because they went to low market teams and kind of brought them with them. He doesn't have that personality. He's a very under the radar guy, and I think when Pistons, and I'm saying when the Pistons start winning, he's going to get his praise even more, and they'll have him as the best guard in the East.
I get it. I get it. When you actually think about it, it's not too guard heavy in the league anymore. I would take Jalen Brunson over him. There's a discussion about, LaMelo Ball, Damian Lillard. But Cade, he's definitely a top 3. I'd take Jalen Brunson over Cade. But hey, it's a good shout.
Yeah.
A decent shout.
I like it.
All right, the last segment of the day.
Here we go.
We had a little request to do like kind of a team draft of I'm a Bulls man, you're a Minnesota man. We're going to do kind of a combined draft. So we're taking it back to build the all-time starting 5 for the Chicago Bulls and Minnesota Timberwolves. So each of us will take turns drafting a player from each team, whether it's a legendary Bulls player or a Timberwolves player, filling out a starting 5, a 6th man, and a coach.
Yep.
So to keep it interesting, Jakey's got a little wheel here. So we're going to spin the wheel before each pick to decide which team we can choose from. Once the teams are set, you guys can decide who has the better team after we've released, obviously. So
you'll have the first pick.
I'm getting the first pick.
You're getting the first pick. Here we go. We'll spin the wheel. All right, if you get the Bulls, I think we know. Minnesota Timberwolves with your first pick. Who are you taking?
I'm going to take Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, that's it. That's a great call.
Put him at the 5, I reckon.
Yep.
Kevin Garnett at the 5.
I'll spin for myself.
Yep.
Come on. Give me... Got the Minnesota Timberwolves as well.
Thank God.
So with that, I think...
So you obviously can't take Kevin Garnett.
KG. I think... Taking Kevin Love as my 4.
Okay.
I think.
Alrighty.
Yep.
So, Kevin Love. Okay.
Kevin Love at the 4.
He's no Ant.
Nah.
That's crazy.
K-Love.
Alrighty.
All right, here we go. You got the Bulls.
Yes.
You got the Bulls. It was slowing down on the T-Wolves.
That's Michael Jordan at the 2. So, I've got Michael Jordan at the 2, Kevin Garnett at the 5.
All right, here we go. Come on. Okay, we got the Bulls. Okay. Taking Scottie Pippen at the 3 for sure.
Okay, so Scottie Pippen's off the board.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, my pick 3.
Okay, you have got the Bulls again.
Yes. Okay, we're picking my man and future Hall of Famer. We just retired his jersey, Derrick Rose. I'm putting him at the 1.
I like it.
I'm cooking here.
Oh, yeah, the team's coming along nicely for you. I'm telling you. Okay, I'm taking Ant.
Got Minnesota?
Got Minnesota. Give me Ant. I'm happy I could pick him up there. Probably didn't make much sense. I took K-Love first because don't you already have a power forward locked up? Yeah, probably didn't make much sense. But
Alrighty. So, my next pick.
You have Minnesota Timberwolves again.
Ooh.
T-Wolves are getting some love.
Okay.
Hats off to them.
So, I'm going to go Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going to go Karl Anthony Towns.
My boy.
Cat. He'll be sitting at the... Well, he can sit at the 5. I'll have KJ at the 4.
Yeah, right. Are you kidding me? We've got the Minnesota Timberwolves again.
You're kidding.
There's so many good players getting missed out on. So I've got a center, a guard, or a sixth man sitting there. This is tough.
Yeah, this is tough. There's not too many good all-time Timberwolves fans.
I have to take Stephon Marbury at my guard.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which hurts. Which definitely hurts.
So, no Ricky Rubio.
We'll take Marbury.
Alrighty.
He's a gun. Here we
go. My pick.
All right.
I want
Bulls. Give you T-Wolves. Sure. Yep, T-Wolves again.
You're kidding. Is this a one-sided spin? Okay.
Bulls are getting no love.
Sixth man.
Oof.
We're going with my man, Kevin Martin.
Ooh, I like it.
Remember him? He's like the ultimate sixth man.
I like it.
Kevin Martin. He's a little ragged jump shot.
Yep.
He's my sixth man.
We got the Bulls. Okay, what are we working with here? At my 5, give me Artis Gilmore.
Yeah, okay. Old timer.
Old timer. We're going old timer, but he's a gun. He's a gun.
I've got to fumble the bag here to lose this thing.
Okay. Yeah, you do. Okay. Damn, you got the Bulls.
Bulls, I reckon I'll go coach.
Damn it.
Phil Jackson.
That was pretty much the only thing that could get me back into
it.
He,
you know what, got all 6 championships with the Bulls and then got 4 with the Lakers?
Yep.
Man, Phil Jackson.
All right.
Alrighty.
So I got Bulls again.
Bulls again.
Sixth man.
You got some good picks here.
Yeah. I reckon we'll go. Give me Jimmy Butler at 6 man.
Good call.
It was between him or Joakim Noah, I reckon.
Yep.
Bro, he was a beast there. But yeah, give me Jimmy.
Okay, my last pick.
Your last pick
of the draft. I need like a forward.
Man?
No, this is my small forward.
All right. Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh my God.
Oh, brother.
You're kidding me.
Boy, oh boy.
You know what? I'm going to give respect to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, Andrew Wiggins.
Borderline of bust.
Bro, he was a baller for you guys.
Borderline of bust.
He was a baller. Actually, no, I'm going with that. I'm going with Andrew Wiggins.
And I got to cap off my coach.
Yep.
From the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Jeez.
Showing love to my current man, Chris Finch. Took us to the Western Conference Finals last year. I know there's a few question marks around him, but he's shown he's a good coach. It was between him and Tibbs, really.
No.
Like Flip Sanders back in the day, and Saunders back in the day, but
hey, you got to respect
between them, Chris Finch. So yeah, look, the team's not looking great.
Okay, I'll recap my team.
Yeah.
So I got Derrick Rose at the point guard, Michael Jordan at the shooting guard, Andrew Wiggins at the small forward, Minnesota version.
That kills it.
Karl Anthony Towns at the 4, Kevin Garnett at the 5. They're interchangeable. Sixth man, Kevin Martin. He's like one of the best 6 men of all time. And coach, the one and only Phil Jackson.
Yeah, look, that team is stacked. When you look at mine, at the PG, Stephon Marbury. At the 2, Anthony Edwards. At the 3, Scottie Pippen. At the 4, Kevin Love. At the 5, Artis Gilmore. 6 man, Jimmy Butler, which Jimmy's a beast. And then Coach Chris Finch. Look, can't compare much with Phil Jackson. That was a big sway right there.
Hey,
when you get MJ and Phil Jackson on the one team, it makes it pretty tough.
And D Rose, man.
And D Rose, look, that doesn't help. But Anthony Edwards is practically Michael Jordan these days. So just back it in.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
I reckon we'll obviously you can listen to those teams on the pod. We might post those after this, and we can let's see what team you guys think's best.
100%, and then also let us know on if there's any other teams you want to do us all time. We'd love to hear your thoughts about that, and if you enjoyed that little segment as well, because I know we did. That was a bit of fun.
That was good.
That was a bit of fun.
That's quality.
I love it.
Sweet. So, that's it. So that's a wrap for episode 3 of Talkin Dribble. Big thanks to everyone tuning in, whether you're new here or a regular listener of these first 2 eps.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate the support.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can never miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube too. Trust me, that the banter's even better on video, isn't it? Isn't it? See a little smirk here and there.
Make sure to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for all the latest updates, clips, and yeah, a bit of extra fun.
Next week, we've got a massive Super Bowl preview coming your way. Predictions, breakdowns, and all the hype leading up to the big game. You don't want to miss it.
And yeah, thanks again for listening. So until next time, stay safe, enjoy the games, and as always, keep talking dribble.
We out.